Andrew, imagine for a second that you could live in a world where your every movement would be tracked using your smartphone, your body. Whoa. Imagine that you could give up all of your personal privacy so that information could be sold without your knowledge. Imagine you could use a platform like Twitter where if you post something that doesn't agree with the left-leaning narrative, these things called bots could shame you online. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That sounds awful.
3, 2, 1, boom! You are now entering the dojo of Mojo and the Thrive Time Show.
Thrive Time Show on the microphone. What is this? Top of the iTunes charts in the category of business. Drilling down on business topics like we are a dentist. Providing you with mentorship like you are an apprentice. And we go so fast that you might get motion sickness. Grab a pen and pad to the lab. Let's get in this. It's time to bear some fruit like some Florida oranges. 3, 2, 1. Here come the business ninjas.
Sonic boom!
Yes, and yes, Thrive Nation, we are in the air everywhere, and on today's show, we are interviewing the man, the myth, the CEO, the founder of this new company, this new social media platform called Parler. Now, the company's not new, as it wasn't created yesterday, but many of you are just now hearing about it. The company's called Parler. John Mates, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, let me tell you something. I love to listen to some Dan Bongino. I love listening to some Dan Bongino. And Dan Bongino loves Parler. Therefore, we're talking here right now. Tell us, what is Parler?
We are a social media competing in kind of a modern era where companies are calling for more censorship and we're calling for less censorship. We're calling for more user rights, which means monetizing your following. And we're calling for more privacy in an era where people are calling for less privacy. And so we believe that your information and your profile is your property and that it is to remain yours, and we are not to share it or sell it. So it's kind of a new thing, a new concept.
Now, where did you come from? I mean, previous to creating this fast, exponentially growing platform of free expression and privacy, what were you doing before this?
I ran a consulting company. I built iPhone apps for people, and then I kind of became a for-hire CTO for different app startups. Before that, I worked at Amazon in their web services department, and before that in defense contracting. So I kind of came out of nowhere, if you will, I guess.
Now, you started Parler in 2018 with Jared Thompson. When did you first have the idea to create Parler? When were you going, oh, that's it, that's the idea? When did that happen?
Probably like a few weeks before we started it.
Really?
I mean, when I want to do something, we just do it. There's no time to wait and to think about it and to hold back. And at first I thought, hey, this is going to be something that we're going to do, in conjunction with my contracting. And then quickly I realized, time to shut down the contracting company, and we're going to roll this all into Parler because this is too much to do. So the idea started as, let's just start building this thing out and start rolling. And then it just kind of developed into our life, basically, pretty quickly.
Now, I want to make sure that the listeners know the facts related to social media censorship. Just a few facts I have. Candace Owens, who is not white. Candace Owens is a black woman, an outspoken black woman who I agree with pretty much on everything she ever says. She's a very wise woman. She came out on Facebook talking about how racism in America isn't nearly as divisive as what the media is portraying, the mainstream media. And then all of a sudden, it's like her message got deleted, and then she actually got suspended for a while by some of the social media platforms. From what you can tell, what causes somebody's posts to be deleted or causes their accounts to be suspended on Facebook and Twitter at this point?
realistically, they have a set of really vague rules. These rules are purposefully vague, and they're all written in kind of like an intellectual speak so that they can justify banning you for really any reason, and they've got a rule that can somehow encompass it. They use terms like hate speech to define basically anything. So they probably called what she wrote hateful, right? Because they disagreed with it, and therefore it's a hateful message, even though that's kind of the opposite of what she's saying. So there are different things that they can do to target people. And I think it's political. And if you look at every country, not just the United States, but every country that these companies operate in, they have an agenda that they're pushing, and they seem to have political allies that they've teamed up with. And it's a trend everywhere.
It is a trend everywhere. Now, I thought when again, Candace Owens is somebody who I admire. I love the wisdom she puts out there. She happens to be black, and she had her content taken down for somehow offending people when she pointed out that racism in America statistically isn't as bad as it was being portrayed in the mainstream media. And I thought, okay, that right there, maybe somebody got confused. Maybe, So I turn the other cheek. I say, maybe these companies made a mistake. Because that's always the response. Hey, we have people that fact check and they make mistakes. We're not perfect, and it might have been hate speech. Maybe we mislabeled. They never come out and just say, yes, we definitely blocked her for minimizing racism in America. But then Michelle Malkin, who's an Asian woman, she came out and thanked President Trump and was speaking and saying, "Thank you, President Trump, for standing up for against censorship on social media." And President Trump retweeted her post. Then the post that President Trump tweeted was deleted, in addition to Michelle Malkin having her Twitter account shut down. The audacity of censoring the president of these United States. Is that shocking to you, John?
It just depends. Is it shocking? No, I saw this coming of course we saw this coming 2 years ago. When you start with the fringe and you start censoring the fringe, nobody wants to defend them. Or they sit there and they go, well, I don't know. So when at first people like Alex Jones were getting banned, everyone was just like, yeah, they probably are justified, or, no one was defending them, right?
Right.
And then it kind of progressed. And like you said, then people were like, maybe it's a mistake here or there. And then it keeps getting tighter and tighter and more directed until they're hitting their true target. And there's no one left to defend them, right? And they've basically expressed how powerful they are, right? They've taken this and they keep pushing the limits. And so the whole point of what we're trying to do is say people are empowered to speak on their own. They should have the rights of free speech online. It's not against business practices. It's not against best interest of our bottom line to allow for free speech. In fact, it helps our bottom line to promote the most voices as possible, giving them a place to speak. And so these platforms are not acting in the best interest of their bottom line. If you look, Twitter's stock price has been plummeting over the years. It's not doing great, except for this year, because everyone's doing great. There's a lot of money getting injected there. But historically speaking, they're not doing well. And they're not acting in the best interest of their company because they have an agenda to push. And I personally believe that these people are being punished for going against what their media partners and other people want. And they probably believe what they're doing is morally justified somehow.
True. Now, Parler.com, Parler.com. If I'm going to make an account there and invest the time to make a Parler account, how would you describe the user experience? Let's say if we could compare it to Facebook or maybe a Twitter. How does it work?
Well, right now it'll feel more similar to Twitter, but with bigger images and graphics and stuff like you'd expect on Instagram. So it's kind of a weird hybrid. Eventually, we're going to see more and more features going in that are going to diversify us, so we really don't fit in any bucket.
Right.
But it probably feels more similar to Twitter if you're used to that experience. And eventually, it's going to be much bigger than that. You'll notice on sign up and things are a bit different.
Yeah.
We really don't like bots. The concept of botting and manipulating a social network through manipulation with multiple accounts is not really for us.
Can we do this? Many of our listeners have not been a coder. You know what I mean? We've been like a haircut guy, a dentist, a doctor. And when you say bots, explain to me in layman's terms, explain to our listeners in layman's terms, what is a bot?
So imagine that you are sitting there and you want to manipulate a lot of people. You want them to, I don't know, change their political views, or you want them to cancel a business client because it's unpopular, or you want to get them to buy your products. Anyway, you're trying to push an agenda on somebody.
Yeah.
So instead of going out and making a post or saying something, they create 1,000 accounts and they get a computer to run the 1,000 accounts to try to look legitimate and spread the message or whatever agenda they have. These are called bots.
Bots.
Yes. And Twitter and other social networks have openly admitted that more than 20% of their network consist of just bots. I would be willing to bet it's significantly higher than that.
Wow.
And so we are really against bots because we want real users having real engagement with real people. And that's the whole purpose. And so you'll notice to sign up, you need a phone number, not because we could care. It's just because you get a text message, which helps limit people to one account per person. So you don't see one person running many accounts to try to manipulate people. So these are the things that you don't see on Parler that you see on other sites.
Dan Bongino, Donald Trump Jr. Many people are speaking out in favor of Parler. How would you describe your relationship with Dan Bongino? Is he a partner? Is he an endorser? Is he an investor? Is he just a fan? How would you? Because I mean, this guy on his podcast, Dan Bongino does not endorse things he doesn't believe in. I've listened to him long enough to know he will not endorse things he doesn't believe in. And Dan Bongino's all in on Parler. What's that relationship like?
Well, I've worked with Dan for a while now. We've been speaking to him for a long time. We don't normally, really work very much with radio hosts or people of that nature, but Dan has been so passionate about Parler that we invited him to become an equity partner and,
cool.
and join the team, and he now is. And so we work fairly closely with him to make sure that we're doing what's best for everybody, and it's working out really well.
You'll have to tell Dan just how much I sincerely pray for him. The words he's putting out there. He went out to New Jersey yesterday, I believe, to stand with in support of the gym owners who've been forcibly shut down and fined and been threatened with ongoing jail time for opening their business. Dan Bongino's a great American patriot, and for the folks out there that are not familiar with Dan Bongino, Google search him, check him out. He's just. How did you first meet Dan Bongino? Did you just kind of meet him when he was endorsing the product? Because he's been talking about you for a long time. Or how did you guys first connect?
We met in D.C. one time, probably a year ago or more.
Yeah.
And we just kind of from there, we started looking at working with his radio show in some capacity. So
cool.
That's kind of how things developed. And we don't normally work with many people. We do very little to almost no advertising at all. We rely completely on word of mouth or just people sharing their experiences. And so far we have great traction. And I think a lot of the reason why people are so attracted to Parler is because we're real people. I'm on there and I'm just saying things that are on my mind. I sometimes say things that I know my followers are like, probably not going to agree with me with.
Yeah.
But I say it anyway. And I think that means more to everybody, that I'm not sitting here peddling stuff for some reason. I'm just saying what's on my mind. And not just me, other users are doing that. And you see everyone doing that, including Dan. There's no self-censorship on Parler either, because no one has to be afraid. Oh, gee, is the board of moderators going to somehow come after me for my political opinion? No, you don't have to worry about that. There's no self-censorship. People can say whatever they want, which is great.
Can you speak to the growth of Parler, and feel free to plead the fifth on this next part? It's the two-part questions the media likes to ask here, but I want to just, because DuckDuckGo is a search engine that I remember first hearing about this years ago. I read the book written by the founder, the new search engine DuckDuckGo, and I remember reading the book going, I agree with what he's saying, that people deserve a more private search engine experience. I believe, I agree. I was in a pool in New York City when I was reading. I was reading it in the pool, sitting there in the pool. And I remember reading it. That's a great place. I was early morning. I was by myself. I read the book Traction. And so I remember thinking, I believe in this, but I'm a nut. I'm the guy who researches stuff, and I know most people would give up their freedom in exchange for convenience. But now I'm hearing more and more people adopt into DuckDuckGo. So can you talk about the adoption of DuckDuckGo in Parler? I mean, can you speak to that first as part one of this question here? Are you seeing more and more people waking up to the nefarious nature of having our data collected without our permission or sold? I mean, are you seeing this as a trend that more and more people are thinking Parler and DuckDuckGo is less crazy?
People are more upset about their lack of free speech, especially in COVID right now. But privacy is also a big factor because people don't like being creeped on. And so COVID kind of created this maximum peak point where people are like, why can I not talk about cures or possible treatments to the illness, which I won't mention on your show because I don't know if you're putting it out on YouTube or something. I wouldn't want your video taken
No,
down.
it's okay.
But
it's okay.
But so they're not allowed to talk about hydroxychloroquine, for example, anywhere online. You're not allowed to mention it. And so they're going, well, how many people are dying because doctors aren't able to communicate openly in the public forum? I mean, how many people are responsible? What's going on? And so people are upset by that. And so free speech appeals to them. Privacy also appeals to them because they're hearing rumors about, how are you going to track people? What about contact tracing and all of these other very creepy 1984-esque things. Right. And so I think that's what's getting people really driven for this is they're sitting, wait, this isn't just like a hypothetical anymore that only the philosophers and the crazies are thinking about. This is really an issue.
It is.
That could really impact us and hurt us all. And so it's serious. It's very serious.
So part two of my question about this adoption to the new, more privacy-focused platforms. Can you speak to the growth of Parler? I'm not asking you for a specific number tonight. But, if I go on to Parler today, if I make an account, am I going to feel like I'm alone in a field surrounded by end times?
It depends. If you don't follow anybody and you sit there by yourself, you're going to be alone in a field. But we have 3.6 million people on there, and almost all of them have been active in the last month. So there's a lot of people there for you to talk to. But it's all about what you make it, right? My account's pretty siloed into what I like to be engaged with. I see a lot of gardening pictures, some political content and stuff like that. But a lot of people like politics and they dive hot and heavy into that. It's all what you make it, which is really nice because the power is in your hand as the user to determine what you want to see. It's not pushed to you. You have no agenda. Places like Twitter or Facebook, they'll change your feed based off of what they think that you want to see because they claim to know more than you. We don't. We just let you choose because it should be your choice.
My understanding is that you're kind of a big deal in Saudi Arabia. People know you in Saudi Arabia. It's a thing where, you think America, okay, free speech, that makes sense. Over here, Saudi Arabia, what's the connection? How come you're a big deal in Saudi Arabia?
So there was a TV hit I did last year. It was for The Blaze. It was with John Miller. And I went off on something because I do that occasionally. I went off on something. And it apparently picked up traction with some famous Saudi people living in Australia who then shared that to their friends in the kingdom. And that's why it went viral in Saudi. And in 2 days, we had 200,000 Saudis join. Now, I'd say we don't have a massive presence in Saudi. But I think if you said our name, they would know because about 2% of their population or 1% of their population that uses the internet online used Parler at that time. And so I went on TV there once. That was very, very difficult. I don't know if you realize how difficult it is to hear something in Arabic while it's being translated in English and looking at a room full of cubicles and people trying to stare at the camera and stay focused.
That sounds a lot like my recent experience on CNN. That's what that sounds like. I was on CNN and I hear people over here talking about communism and I'm trying to translate it into capitalism, but I know the person asking me the questions talking about communism, but they're masking. I was trying to figure out, I needed like an interpreter to figure out, because I thought we were just trying to reopen our economy by looking at the facts, but whatever. Now, your platform recently has really gained top of mind awareness for a lot of people because President Trump on May 28th of 2020, he issued an executive order to prevent the online censorship by name of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and other platforms. He named them. And he spoke about this thing called the Section 230, which was designed to address early court decisions holding that if an online platform restricted access to some content posted by others, it would thereby become a publisher of all content posted on its site for the purposes of torts such as defamation. As the title of the point is, Section 230, what does that mean?
Section 230 is a government kind of subsidy from liability that companies get if they're an online social media kind of platform. If they are a technology company, they are not liable for what people do with the technology, is what it says. And so what President Trump was trying to say with the executive order is, if you're censoring people, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I'm looking at you, is what it said, you don't get this subsidy anymore from the government. You're no longer protected, and you can be sued. So as a result, Twitter flipped him the bird and then censored his next tweets that he made.
So
and nothing has really come of this.
Is there pending lawsuits that you know of that are coming in the future, or you're saying nothing's really come of this yet?
I mean, there's lawsuits here and there all the time with Twitter. I know Devin Nunes is currently in one with them, but that's been ongoing for a long time. I don't really see any legal resolution to this. They're pretty well protected.
Who's Devin Nunes?
Congressman Nunes from California.
He's
also on the platform. He's one of our most followed users.
So Congressman Nunes is going after Twitter right now for censorship, or what's he doing?
Well, he's going after them because there is a whole slew of defamatory accounts. They made fake accounts of his mother and said all sorts of egregious and awful, horrible things.
Wow.
And Twitter protected him, totally refused to take him down, including, helping remove evidence of who these people were running the accounts when they got court-ordered subpoenas and, requests. So it was pretty nasty. They basically allied with these trolls to slander him and his family and hurt him. And it was horrible what they were doing.
Wow. Now how do you plan on monetizing Parler? I mean, at the end of the day, you're providing a great service. The user adoption is really starting to grow. You're starting to get that hockey stick growth, that there's a certain energy and exponential increase is happening, which is exciting for guys like me that love freedom, don't like censorship, don't like being trolled on. How do you plan on monetizing Parler?
We have an advertising network. Right now, the advertising networks online consist of Facebook and Google. They have a duopoly. They own basically all the income that comes in and out of the online advertising space. We want to break into that. And so we've created our own ad network, which is done in a privacy and user-focused manner. And what I mean is all private information, personal identifiable information, is thrown out and not used by our ad network. Instead, people are targeted based off of who they follow. Things of that nature, basically things that we know, but isn't creepy, it's things that we can do to help promote ads, but in a way that's fair to everybody. And additionally, we believe that if somebody is, if we say, oh, people are following Dan Bongino, I want to advertise to Dan Bongino's followers, or let's say, Jack Posobiec or somebody else on the platform. We believe the person who amassed those followers should be paid a portion of the ad revenue because they provided the content that resulted in the people being there. So they should be rewarded equally.
I think that it's not common knowledge how crazy invasive these social media platforms are. And because I am not a technological guru like you are, could you just freak us out for a minute? I mean, could you just take us to the darkest thing where you go, hey, I'm not sure if you're aware, but when you use Facebook, they know this about you, or because I think people don't know.
How about this? I'm not going to say Facebook or Twitter.
Okay.
I'm not going to say any app. If you download an app, period, it could be for cropping a photo. It could be for, I don't know, one of those face cam ones where it makes you look old or something.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. So you download this app. They can, without your permission, instantly get access to the name of your phone, the Wi-Fi name you're connected to, the Bluetooth name that you're connected to, whether you're in airplane mode, how much battery you have left. And they can get access to your IP address. In turn, combining just this data alone, they can tell where you live, if you're traveling to work, your route to work, when you get to work, what the name of your work is. They can tell how long you've left your house. Maybe you went out of town. They can tell all of this information without ever asking your permission for one thing. So is that creepy for you?
I think my head just exploded, and I'm going to need to get some duct tape there. I was just...
I mean, as a developer, I could even write the code to show you how to do it. It's not hard. And a lot of people do it. And that's why you have people so upset, like, oh, TikTok is a Chinese company and all of this. That's why people are upset, because they know that information could be going to China. And apparently a lot of people in the United States would rather have American companies spying on them and invading their privacy rather than Chinese ones, where I think nobody should have their privacy invaded, period.
I 100% agree with you. That is a controversial idea. Okay, final 3 questions for you. I got 2 from me, and then I have one question here from the attorney, James, who's with us today. Okay. Your favorite old school jam? When you think about middle school, high school, we all went to the school dance. Maybe we went to roller skating. You know, you did something. You went to some place where your parents would drop you off for 4 to 5 hours. Pizza was served. Music was played. Do you have a favorite old school jam? Because this allows us to look into your soul and to determine whether we can trust the nature of your code. So tell us, what is your favorite old school jam?
This is a tough one because I'm so inconsistent with music. I listen to everything from like Blink 182 to Avenged Sevenfold to like, whatever. I was always hard rock and punk rock, and like was it early 2000s? That's what it was.
Do you have a specific song that maybe just comes to your mind, or specific songs? Just because we're thinking about subscribing to Parler, and if you get it right, you get a mega point, which is redeemable in the afterlife. We don't have proof of this. We just make these claims. A lot like Twitter and Facebook saying they claim they don't censor. We're claiming you get a mega point that's redeemable in the afterlife. Just give us a song or two, maybe just one or two.
I can't pick anything that stands out from that period, but I can tell you a song that I played recently.
Okay.
Which House of the Rising Sun. I started playing it on the piano.
Really?
So yeah.
You play the piano?
Yes.
Well, sir, you get a mega point. Which is, I know, something you were looking for. Now, James, I'm going to turn it over to you. You're an attorney. You're from Manhattan. You're a guy who tends to ask difficult questions that cause guests to just hang up without any warning. They're done. They walk off. What is your walk-off question here for John?
Hi, John. Thanks for setting up Parler. It seems like a great platform. My question really relates to 2 things. Number one, have you been approached by any of the media giants to buy you out and snuff you out? And 2, if so, or if not, do you have a price, or is it really bigger than that for you?
Let's put it this way. If I wanted to make a lot of money, there's a lot of things that I could be doing that would be far more profitable right now. Not that this isn't a profitable opportunity, because we're going to be a multiple billion-dollar company, but I think bigger than this. I think I want to do not just Parler. I want to turn Parler into much bigger than just selling out to some media outlet. We have been approached by media outlets. We have had acquisition offers, multiple, not just from media companies, but other companies. We've said no to all of them. I will continue to say no to all of them. We don't have a price, because once you get purchased, my dream of building a company that's bigger than just social media is kind of gone. I mean, I'd like to do other things.
So maybe it would be the other way around and you acquire them.
Yeah, I'll buy them one day. Fine.
Can you tell us about your vision? That's my final question. The vision for where Parler's headed, where you, John, are headed, because I think we know from the Bible it says where there is no vision, the people perish. But I think also people are going, if I make another account, make another login, it takes like 10 seconds. And then I have to update it, which it takes like seconds. And we're in that kind of microwave, want it now culture. People don't want to sign up for another account to be screwed again. So what's the vision of the company? How can we have some confidence in what you're doing in the future? Just give us the vision.
Well, we believe really heavily in free speech and privacy. I'm going to keep pushing that as long as I'm here for the company. And you can see that on my parlays. If you follow me, I'm kind of over the top about it to the point where you'll be like, wow, he reminds me every day that this is continuously being a thing. And I will respond to your comments on my parlay. I'm very active. In terms of what we're going to be doing in the future, if you also follow me on Parler, you will see that I'm into robotics. There's a lot of things beyond social media alone in the technology space that I really want to see us pursue after, social media. Yeah, sure, we'll take on Twitter and Facebook. That'll be great. We'll take them out. That'll be good. Next, what about, what about drones? What about, farming? What about all of these other industries that we would love to get into in a technology respect? That's what I want to do one day. Bigger than just social media. We're a bunch we're kind of a bunch of dreamers when it comes to this stuff.
Well, I'd say, let me sneak in one bonus fry question. We're to the end of the French fries. We think we're done. Our kids have gotten out of the car. They've walked their way in the house, and we recognize, there's a bonus fry. So before we drop the mic, you found the bonus fry. What's one thing you want to share with the listeners out there? What's the one thing you want to share with the Thrive Nation? Maybe a principle, a thought, an idea, a book recommendation, maybe a criticism of myself. What is something you want to share with the listeners?
You don't have to put up with all the authoritarians out there telling you what to do. You can just leave. You don't need Facebook. You don't need Twitter. You don't need the lockdowns. You don't need all of these things. We have the power. We're the people. We get to decide what we want to do. If we want to be locked up at home, sad or not, we should make a choice to go out and tell people it's our right to do what we want to do. We're Americans, and that's what we do.
John, I appreciate you for being here on the show. Folks, I encourage everybody to make a Parler.com account. That's Parler.com account. Check it out. I think it's worth at least looking into the idea of, are you okay with giving up a lot of your freedom, a lot of your liberty, a lot of your privacy in exchange for some convenience of staying on the account you've already been on, or is it worth checking out a new platform? John, again, thank you so much for being on today's show.
Thank you. See you guys.
And now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!
This is your year to thrive. Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time.
Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. Proverbs 10:4. I'm here to tell you, you can do it if you can just motivate yourself. 12 the masses had to cut off a few, so on the daily you and I could rendezvous. A misshapen tree that I had to prune. I had to make cuts to be here daily at noon. So like a tidal wave of knowledge monsoon, I could rain on the parades of those who doubt in you. Are you the next Rockefeller or the next guru, or the next Dr. King who's changing the rules? Walls are in your way, will you run right through? Like a running back, forth the one, it's up to you. I remember my days back in the dorm room, tuned to the gloom like the temple of doom, overwhelmed with the doubts that try to consume my hope for the future that I could pursue. But from the mountaintop now I can conclude that you have what it takes if you want the view to.
This is your year to thrive. Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time. It's your year to thrive. Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time.
This moment is profound because you're above the ground. Your road might have been rough, but what you got now is now. We're here to pick you up and to even show you how, but you gotta be resourceful with that old plow. Started from the bottom, but I worked my way up, cause by 4 a.m. I've always been prayed up. Rise and grind as your time, don't dare let up. You gotta get it, don't quit it till your seeds grow up.
This is your year to thrive.
Come on.
Success you will find.
Yes.
Today is your day,
Somebody say,
and now is your time.
it's your time.
It's your year to thrive.
Come on.
Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time.
It's your time.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
all have a wish and we all want to win, but we cannot begin without self-discipline. If you fall on your face, get yourself up again. Attach yourself to goals, not fail with the friends. When the storms get rough and they scatter and leave, you only be there with with yourself in what you believe. We believe in you, but not as much as God does. If you're going through hell, he's got nothing but love. Apply what you learn, increase what you earn, and in due time you have money to burn.
Apply what you learn, increase what you earn, and in due time you got money to burn.
Sing it.
Apply what you learn, increase what you earn, in due time you got money to burn.
Sing it.
Apply what you learn,
Sing it.
increase what you earn.
Yes.
In due time you got money to
With
to
this biblical
burn.
miracle,
Yeah.
I look to shout down the doubters. Kill the weeds that be killing your dream flowers. Empower you to devour all the obstacles that make your sweet dreams sour. As for me, I used to stutter, but now I'm on the microphone smooth like butter. If I can do it, I know you can too, but you must stick to it like postage do. And while Merton's on the chorus, singing what he sings, I encourage you to dream big dreams.
Today is your day.
Today's your day.
And now is your time.
It's your time.
This is your year to thrive.
Sing it, sing it.
Success you will find. Today is your day.
It's your day.
And now is your time.
It's your time.
Today is your day.
Come on.
And now is your time.
Sing it, Merton.
Today is your day. Now is your time.
I realize I can't sing like that, but I can talk and play the woodblock. Okay. If you guys need me, I'll just be over here.